Chapter 7. Fräulein Rottenmeier's Uncomfortable Day. Out on the street, Heidi didn't know which way to turn. The tower that had seemed so close when she was looking out the window was nowhere to be seen. She ran down the length of the street until she came to another street, and then another. A great many people passed her, but they were all in such a hurry that Heidi could not ask them for directions. Finally, she noticed a boy standing on the corner. He was carrying a small hand organ on his back and a very strange animal in his arms.
"Where is the tower with the golden dome?"
she asked him.
"Don't know."
Was his answer.
"Don't you know of any church with a high tower?" "Certainly I do, but what will you give me to show you where it is?"
the boy inquired.
"What do you want?"
Heidi asked. The boy held out his hand. Heidi searched her pocket. She pulled out a little picture on which was painted a garland of red roses. She looked at it for a little while, for she hated to part with it. Clara had painted it for her that morning. But to look down into the valley and across the green slopes.
"Here,"
she said, holding out the picture to him.
"Will you take this?"
The boy laughed in a mean sort of way.
"I want 4 pennies,
he said.
"I haven't any money,
Heidi said.
but Clara has, and she will give you some." "Come along then,"
the boy said, and the two started off down the street. They had not gone far before Heidi was asking him all about the organ on his back. He showed her how he turned the handle to play music, and how his companion, a trained monkey, danced. Before Heidi could ask any more questions, they had reached the church. Its heavy wooden door was closed.
"How do we get in?"
she asked.
"Don't know." "Perhaps I could ring the bell as I ring for Sebastian."
Heidi rang the doorbell, and from a long way away she heard a faint clanging.
"You must wait here while I go up,
Heidi said.
and then show me the way back." "You must give me another 4 pennies,
the boy said. Just then the door creaked open and an old man peered out.
"Be off with you!"
he barked.
"But I want to go to the tower,"
Heidi said.
Go home!
The caretaker snapped.
And don't ring my bell again, or I'll call the constable.
"Please,
Heidi pleaded.
just once."
Oh, very well.
He grumbled.
Come along, then.
Taking Heidi's hand, he led her inside.
You stay there,
he said to the boy, and slammed the door. They climbed and climbed. The dark staircase grew narrower and the steps smaller until finally they saw light above them, and they were on a platform surrounded by high walls. In each wall was a large window. The old man lifted Heidi so she could look out, but all she saw was a sea of roofs and towers and chimneys.
"Oh,
She exclaimed, disappointed.
it's not at all what I had hoped for."
What would a child like you know about views?
Sniffed her companion.
Well, you've had your look. Come down, and mind you leave my doorbell alone after this.
Halfway down, the staircase widened out to a landing where the caretaker had his room. Beside his door was a basket in which lay a large gray cat. She meowed warningly when Heidi came near, but the old man said,
Come, you may look at the kittens. She won't hurt you while I'm here.
Heidi went toward the basket and shrieked with delight.
"Oh, the lovely little creatures!"
Would you like one?
Asked the tower keeper.
"For my own?"
Yes, you can have them all if you like.
He added slyly.
I will bring them to you. Only tell me where.
Heidi was filled with joy. How surprised and pleased Clara would be when the kittens arrived.
"To Herr Sesaman's big house. There's a golden head of a dog with a big ring in his mouth on the front door. Can I carry 1 or 2 with me? One for myself and one for Clara?"
Well, wait a little,
said the keeper, and he carried the old cat into his room, put her into the cupboard, shut the door, and came back.
There now, take two.
Heidi chose a white kitten and a striped yellow and white one, and put one in her right pocket and one in her left. Then she went down the stairs. The boy was still sitting on the steps outside, and when the keeper had closed the door, Heidi said,
Which is the way to Herr Sesaman's house? Don't know.
The boy replied.
The roof of the house goes like this.
Heidi explained, making a steeple with her fingers. The boy jumped up. All he needed was a clue like this to be able to find the way. He started off on the run and Heidi after him, and in a short time they stood in front of the door with the big brass knocker. Heidi rang the bell and Sebastian answered.
Quick, quick!
He exclaimed when he saw Heidi. Heidi ran inside and Sebastian closed the door on the boy.
Quick!
Urged Sebastian.
Go right to the dining room. Fräulein Rottenmeier looks like a loaded cannon.
The housekeeper stared stonily at Heidi as she came into the room. Clara sat with her eyes on her plate. There was an uncomfortable silence.
Adelheid,
Fräulein Rottenmeier began.
I have only this to say. You have behaved very badly and really deserve to be punished for leaving the house without asking permission. Meow. What did you say? How dare you mock me?
But I didn't.
Heidi exclaimed.
Meow, meow.
Sebastian rushed from the room.
Heidi,
Clara gasped.
why do you keep doing that? You can see how angry.
Almost in tears, Heidi burst out.
It's the kittens.
What? Kittens?
Screamed Fräulein Rottenmeier.
Sebastian, find the horrible creatures and take them away.
The housekeeper rushed from the room. Sebastian, his hand over his mouth to hide his laughter, returned to find Clara holding the kittens in her lap, and Heidi kneeling by her side, playing with the two graceful creatures.
Sebastian,
Clara pleaded.
you must find a bed for the kittens where Fräulein Rottenmeier will not see them.
I'll take care of them, Miss Clara.
The butler promised.
A nice little basket where the Fräulein won't find them.
On the following morning, Sebastian had no sooner shown Herr Kandidat to the library than the doorbell rang with such force Sebastian was certain it was Herr Sesaman himself. To his surprise, he found a ragged boy with a hand organ standing on the steps.
What do you mean by ringing this bell? Be off with you!
I want to see Clara.
The boy insisted.
How does a dirty street urchin like you know Miss Clara?
I showed her the way home yesterday.
A sly smile lit Sebastian's face. He knew Heidi must be up to some mischief again.
Well, well,
He said.
come in. You may play your music box for Miss Clara. She'll like that. Follow me.
Sebastian knocked on the library door, then opened it.
A boy to see Miss Clara.
He announced.
May he come in, Herr Kandidat?
Clara asked, but the boy was already in the room. Straight away he began playing his organ. Clara and Heidi were enchanted. They clapped their hands and asked him to play again. Herr Kandidat kept clearing his throat as if he were about to say something, but he didn't. Suddenly, Fräulein Rottenmeier rushed into the room.
What's going on here? Who is this? Sebastian, take him away at once.
The butler quickly hurried the boy out of the library and down the stairs.
Here you are.
He said at the front door.
8 pennies for seeing the young miss home, and 8 more for the music.
But the morning surprises were far from over. No sooner had Herr Kandidat settled his students back to work than the doorbell rang again. It was a man carrying a large covered basket for Miss Clara.
For me? Let me see.
The girl cried when Sebastian brought it to the library.
Perhaps it would be better to wait until after the lesson.
Herr Kandidat suggested, but it was too late. As soon as Sebastian set the basket down, the cover popped open and 1, 2, 3 kittens jumped out and began to scamper around the room so fast it seemed as if the whole room were full of the tiny creatures. Heidi scooped up 2 and ran after the third as even more kittens escaped from under the wicker lid.
There,
Clara cried, pointing under the table.
and there.
Young ladies,
The tutor protested, but neither child paid any attention to him. They were too busy chasing the cunning creatures. With Sebastian's help, the kittens had all been returned to the basket when Fräulein Rottenmeier appeared.
What is happening here? Adelheid, get up off the floor.
The housekeeper was so busy scolding Heidi that she didn't notice Sebastian whisk the basket out of the room.
What is to be done with you, Adelheid? You have no sense of how to behave. I know of only one punishment that will have any effect on you, for you are sassy and undisciplined. You will spend the rest of the day in the cellar with the lizards and rats.
Heidi listened wonderingly, for she had never been in a frightful cellar. The cellar in her grandfather's hut was a pleasant place where milk and cheeses were kept. But Herr Kandidat looked shocked, and Clara gasped.
No, Fräulein Rottenmeier, you must wait until Papa returns. He has already written that he is coming soon. Let him decide.
The housekeeper frowned and swept out of the room. Soon afterwards, Sebastian returned to the library. In a whisper, he informed Clara that he had hidden all of the kittens in the attic. When Fräulein Rottenmeier was out of the house, he promised he would spirit them into Clara's room for the girls to play with. That evening, Heidi told Clara stories about Peter and the goats and the great fir trees, until her longing for the Alm became so great she cried out,
I really must go home now. Tomorrow, I really must go.
But Clara quieted her, reminding Heidi that she must surely remain until her papa came home. Then they would see what would happen. In the meantime, Heidi tried to learn how to read, but no matter how patient Herr Kandidat was, she did not seem to be able to sort out one letter from another. As the days passed, the tutor noticed that Heidi became quieter and quieter. Sebastian noted that she sat still as a mouse at the table and did not stir, but she always put her bread quickly into her pocket. Only the slowly growing pile of white rolls, hidden in a shawl at the bottom of her closet, comforted her. At least, when she went home, she would have a wonderful present to give to Peter's grandmother. Questions. 1. Did Heidi find the church easily? 2. Who helped Heidi find the church with a high tower? 3. What strange animal did the boy carry with him? 4. Was the boy willing to show Heidi the way to the church and back home for nothing? 5. What did Heidi see when she stood at the top of the tower? 6. Was she disappointed to see that the views were not what she had hoped for? 7. What did Heidi take back from the church? 8. Did the housekeeper allow them to have kittens in the house? 9. Did Clara like kittens? 10. How much money did the butler give the ragged boy? 11. What did the caretaker of the tower send to Herr Sesam's house? 12. Did Heidi long to go back to the Alm?